Everyone, in this session we are going to discuss on the topic prospects and scope of dairy farming. Um, as an introduction, we can move on. India has vast resource of livestock genetic resources comprising of 300 million bovines, 65 million sheep, about 135.2 million goats, and about 10.3 million pigs as per the 19th livestock census in the country. Since India is the highest milk producer and it's also known as the oyster of the global dairy industry, India produces about 18.5% of the world total production of milk. So, what is dairy farming? Briefly, we can define dairy farming as the practice of keeping large herds of animals over extensive land. So, dairy industry is built on farms with cows and buffaloes. Dairying is considered as a potential means of alleviating large-scale unemployment, nutritional security, especially in rural areas. More than 1 million rural families are engaged in milk production, so it forms a major part of the livelihood among individuals. So that's the definition of dairy farming. Next, moving on to the next session, major cow and buffalo breeds. What are the major breeds that are used for the dairy industry or dairy purposes? So major cow breeds are Sahiwal, Rati, Gir, and Red Sindhi. These are the most commonly used cow breeds. And coming to the buffalo breeds, it includes Murrah, Mehsana, and Jafarabadi. So major cow breeds are Sahiwal, Rati, Gir, and Red Sindhi. Buffalo breeds include Murrah, Mehsana, and Jafarabadi. Majorly, these breeds are being used in the dairy industry. Next, we can move on and look up onto the process of dairy farming, or how does a dairy farm work. So first process is rearing. Dairy cows eat, sleep, and ruminate throughout the day. Some are allowed to roam free and eat fresh grass, but some are kept in cramped spaces and fed with hay, grain, or silage throughout the day. They are looked after very carefully, and the most common crossbreeds used for dairy cows in India are, as I have already mentioned, Gir, Rati, Sahiwal, Red Sindhi, and one more is there, Kankrich. So that's about rearing. Next process is harvesting. How the milk is harvested for the business purpose in dairy industry. So when a cow's udder is full, she is prepared to be milked. Cows are often milked twice a day, one time in the morning and another time in the mid-evening. So hand milking of cow is an option. Otherwise, now sophisticated techniques are also involved. As hand milking would take a lot of time and effort to milk an entire cow herd twice each day in this fashion. So the method of manually milking dairy cows before the development of milking machines involved gently squeezing the cow's teats with the thumb and fingertip, and some people still milk cows by hand. So the majority of dairies have enough equipment to milk over 20 cows simultaneously at the same time. So that is by creating a pulsing suction around the teat that prompts the milk to be secreted from the udder. Milking machines imitate how a young calf would act. So how does likewise how a normal calf would be sucking on the teat, in the same manner milking machines also work. So in this way harvesting is done. Third process is storing. The collected milk need to be stored. So milk silos or storage wards exist in a variety of sizes as well as shapes, and they are chilled later on. On the farm, the milk is typically kept for no longer than 48 hours at 39 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. To prevent the milk fat from separating from the milk and to ensure that the entire amount remains cool, wards and silos are stirred later on. So before the farmer begins milking again after milk collection, stainless steel pipes and storage wards are meticulously cleaned. So that's about storing. Next, the processing. The collected milk needs to be processed for further use. So when the whole milk is ready for consumption, it's placed into containers where it is pasteurized homogenized, separated, and processed further. In this section, pasteurization refers to the heating of milk particle to a precise temperature for a set amount of time, cooled and then heated now without permitting cross contamination. Next section is homogenization. This is the process to prevent the fat from rising to the top of the container. The fresh milk is forced into an atomizer to create microscopic particles that equally distribute the fat throughout the milk. Next step is separation. So to extract the cream or other products from the milk, a centrifuge is used to spin the milk. After separation, the residual milk and cream are combined to obtain the necessary fat level for the dairy products produced. It can be later additionally processed. So this process includes microfiltration, heating milk to extremely high temperature to extend its shelf life, and combining or culturing milk to produce flavored and yogurt products or other curd products for eating or consumptional purposes. At last, it can be sold in the market. The milk is ultimately ready for consumers after packing, and it is kept in a big refrigerator or compartment until it's transported to retailers to be sold. So these are the various processes or processes used in dairy farming, that is, or how does a dairy farm work. First one, rearing; second, harvesting, storing, processing, pasteurization, homogenization, separation, additional processing, and finally selling. So what are the benefits of dairy farming? So milk, as you all know, that milk is a nutritional drink and it is considered as a balanced diet. So there will be always demand for milk all over the world. So there will be rise in demand. Moreover, there will be economic benefit for the person who are involved or engaged in the process of dairy farming. Later, government incentives are also provided for small scale as well as large scale farmers. Apart from that, we can get financial assistance from bank also. So these are the various main benefits of dairy farming: rise in demand, economic benefit, provision of government incentives, and financial assistance from banks. So next, moving on to the scope of dairy farming, or what is the future reliability of dairy farming. One of the country's major agri-businesses is dairy farming, and it's also a leading contributor to the nation's GDP in India. With a 4% economic share, it's the biggest agricultural commodity with over 180 million MT output in 2020. India is the world's leading milk producer. As I've already mentioned, it's known as the oyster of dairy industry, India. The growth of private dairy businesses, which now make up more than 60% of the nation's dairy processing capacity, has been a significant contributing factor. Value-added products have driven market expansion in the Indian dairy farming industry, which has risen at a rate of 12% over the past 5 years. Around 70 million farmers are actively engaged in dairy farming, which contributes significantly to the economic revenue of the country. As the world's greatest population of livestock is found in India, it supports 14.7% of the world's cattle population and around 57.3% of its buffalo population, which is a major backbone of the dairy industry. So according to the estimates, nation produced around 84.6 million metric ton of milk altogether in 2001 to 2002. In contrast to the ICMR's recommended minimum of 250 grams per day, its per capita availability at this production was to be 226 grams per day. So therefore, there's a great scope and possibility in dairy farming to increase milk production. So that's all about the scope of dairy farming. Hope you all enjoyed the session. Thank you.